Hi guys, it's Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner, and you probably see something on my desk that you've probably never ever seen me actually work with before. I don't really do glitter much because, well, it's messy. Most of the glitters that I actually have because I was doing resin crafting for a while and haven't had a chance to get any more done somewhat recently. But I do have a ton of glitter, so I am going to do my best on this one. Today's video is part of a hop. This is the Card Hoppin March 2022 birthday hop. And this one is our theme for this month is glitter or gilding flakes. I actually do have one bottle of gilding flakes. I've never used gilding flakes before, so I didn't want to really try that out on this one. And I am going to try to minimize the mess a little bit here. Now, the way it works is the glitter is supposed to stick to this, which I know it will, but my issue is I've always had trouble with the stuff flaking off and just creating a god-awful mess. So I'm going to try not to make that big of a mess this time. And my strip is actually wider than what I need. So that is going to be a good thing. So I can trim off the excess if I don't get it all the way to the edge, or I can use it for more than one project, which is kind of cool. 2-inch wide from scrapbook.com. And I'm just going to cover the entire front of this panel. Now, I have seen Jennifer McGuire and other folks do the same kind of thing, and looks like I've got a little line there. So I'm going to have to add another strip of tape there. And I'm just going to go ahead and go over that part. This is kind of just seat in my pants as usual, seeing if this is going to work. I'm assuming that it'll work and it won't waste as much of the tape. I don't think it goes all the way, but I'm going to still run it the entire length. It's just kind of burnishing down in that crevice. So hopefully this will make that little bit of tape hold. Okay. I'm just taking a piece of mail out of the garbage and just going to use that kind of as a mask. And again, I don't know if this is going to work. What I'm going to try doing is just kind of do a ripped line to act as kind of a mask. So I'm going to start it like right here. And what I'm going to do is try to just cut through that release paper. And this piece of paper here is just basically a guide. And I'm probably going to have to cut through this again, but let's see if it cut through the release paper at all. Nope, did not cut through. Okay, let's try going over it one more time. Okay, that's better. So this is just the release paper, okay? So now I have just exposed a bunch of sticky. And this is basically to catch all that extra, and I do think I want to have some paper underneath so that it's easier to scoop everything up. Yeah, I'm doing multiple things to try not to make a mess, guys. That is not normally what I do, right? So I'm going to put this on there generously, and I can already tell that there are other colors kind of mixed in, but that should be fine for this design, I think. Except that one's too big. And that's the one, of course it's stuck, and that looks like it's probably some black. Okay, now I'm going to just try to brush off the excess from everywhere else. And it's actually sticking pretty well, so I am pretty pleased with the way that that one worked. I think I'm going to try going over it with one more coat of the glitter, just in case there's any sticky areas that I didn't get. And just try burnishing that in with my fingers. And I do have to say, having this little bit is definitely going to be a help. So now I'm going to try to get that to go. And there's so much static. I'm going to try something else too. I have got one of my powder bags. Let's see if that's going to help me maybe to not have quite so much static, so that I can try to gather some of this up so I don't waste it all. Okay, this is where I have now decided instead of doing it this way, I think I'm going to try using coffee filters instead of this paper and see if that works a little bit better. So I'm going to run get that and I will be right back. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I have flipped this over so the edge is kind of going the opposite way and putting it at a little bit more of an angle. And now I'm going to try going through that release paper again. Let's see if that got it. And it looks like I did make it through the first time on that one. Trying not to go too heavy on that because I am not an expert at a craft knife. I tend to cut too deep and I don't want it to be so deep that it goes through the cardstock that I'm trying to adhere everything down to. Okay, so let's see how this one does. And then try burnishing it in a little bit so that hopefully it doesn't come all loose. And looking here, it looks, I'm seeing a little bit of blue in between there, which means I have a little tiny bit of release paper that is making so that the space in between doesn't have any glitter on it. And I can't do that, right? Okay. So that is looking pretty good. And we'll move on to the red. Doing the same kind of thing. Okay, I was thinking that both of these containers were the ultra fine. It turns out that one is a little bit chunkier than this one, I think. So that will give a little bit of a different effect. It's kind of almost like a geode effect. That's kind of cool. And this is again some of the chunkier glitter. Now I like the finer so that it doesn't miss anything, but you use what you got, right? And that's what I've got. I have got this not chunky, but a little chunkier than that ultra fine. Okay, and next we're gonna go with the blue. Okay, I'm going to call that done. Now when I look close at it, I can still see the white behind. See, this is why I wanted to have the bin. Because I could have done this just as easily on my desk for the most part, but then, of course, I had that spillage. That last bit of spillage. While I was trying to empty that out. Okay, and this does have a few little pieces of other colors, but you know what, that's okay. So next what I'm going to do is take another one of my coffee filters and just try to make sure everything is burnished in well, or as well as I can get it. And I think that that is kind of cool. And this is 8.5. So if I cut them at 4 1/4, that'll give me 2 cards. And now I can just do the drip line at the bottom, and then I'll have basically 2 cards to play with. Okay, so the way that I'm going to do that is basically facing it this direction. So I'm on my cutting plate. I'm on my magic mat. I'm going to make sure that the bottom of that piece is good there. Actually slide over just a touch, because I'd like to have this blade kind of off the side too. And I want to make sure that I'm staying on the glitter. And then I would need to cut it to right about there. So it's going to be under that cutting line. And I'm going to go ahead and run that through my Platinum 6. Okay. So let's take a look and see how that turned out for that first cut. Okay, it looks like I may have been a little too close, but it also didn't look like it cut all the way through. So let me try that again. This time I'm also going to put the cutting blade just over my magic mat. So it's going to be just to there. So I'll go ahead and run that through both of them. I'm running it through a couple of times, see how that does. And part of my difficulty is probably trying to cut through this glitter. Yeah, it is not wanting to cut through the glitter. Okay, I'm going to try it again on this side. This time I'm going to go on the opposite side. So cutting through the cardstock part instead of trying to cut through the paper part. Since I don't really do anything with glitter like this, you guys can probably see some of the reasons I'm having a couple of issues. Okay, let's give that one a shot and see if it does better cutting through the cardstock side. Okay, and it is cutting through, it's just having a little bit of trouble cutting through that adhesive there. But I think that's going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of this one, and we will take a look at what it looks like after I'm done. Okay, not everything cut the way that I wanted it to, and I also realized after the fact that another way to get the glitter to stay in would be to run it through the die cutting machine so it could add the additional pressure. Also, it looks like the reason these things are trying not to come out is that double-sided adhesive tape is holding everything in place. So I'm basically doing a little bit of weeding to get that out of there. And it is that scrapbook.com adhesive that is holding all of these bits together. Okay, this is looking pretty cool. So I am trimming it down just a little bit. Don't want this white edge up at the top. I'll cut a little strip of a rainbow glitter cardstock there. And then I figure this can go across the top of a card panel, and then I can trim down the excess, okay? Okay, so I decided I'm going to use my Open Road Sentiment stamps. It has a bunch of things that are fun to use with that cute little card that I did a video on not too long ago, but I want to do something that's happy birthday. So there is a birthday sentiment, and then we've got the letters to be able to spell out lots of different things, including happy. So I'm going to use those. Got my paint drips in place to kind of give me an idea of where I can stamp. Let me rub some of that stickiness off of the back. And now it's got a little bit of glitter on there. I'm just going to put it kind of down there for now. And then I need H, A, P, and Y. Now I only have one P, so I have to be careful with positioning these so that I can stamp a second time and get that second piece. So to condition the stamps, I'm just going to use a little bit of my Versamark. As you can see, it is sticking right to my cardstocks, not wanting to let go. And I've got ink on my hands. No! Okay, let me get my fingers cleaned off and then I will flip it and try again on the other side. Okay, so take two. Gonna go ahead and just add some Versamark there. And stamping it off. And I think what I'm going to use is actually, I think I'm going to use my Gina K ink. So we'll have a nice bold black sentiment with all of those colors. Okay, need to put down a little bit more. Another thing about brand new stamps is they don't always transfer the ink as well as you would like. Okay, that looks good. Let me get these stamps cleaned up and put the other ones down. Okay, so I'm doing the same thing, adding some Versamark to the stamps first. And it also lets me see if they're about lined up right, and I think that'll do. Now I'm going to go back in with my Gina K Obsidian ink. And stamp that down a couple of times. I hope I have them lined up right. I never use, they actually turned out pretty good. I never use letter stamps, or very, very rarely, because I know I'm not going to get them lined up perfect. And that OCD bit of me, it just gets irritated. So if I do use them, same thing with letter dies. I usually use those only if I'm going to make them wonky. Intentionally wonky. But I think this actually turned out pretty good. Okay, looks like I forgot to hit the button, or I thought I hit the button and it didn't work. I did get the letters lined up right, so that is awesome. So now I've got my sentiment there, and then I can put, oh, this is cute. Love that. And I'm gonna make sure to add some glue to my little drips, because I don't want them peeling up. I think that looks pretty good. And then I can just trim off the excess on the edges. And this panel measures right at 4 by 5.5, or 5 1/4, sorry, so that there's going to be a little strip around the edges. And I think I'm going to put this on a colored card base, and that would be kind of cool. So that looks awesome. So now I just need to bring on my little, oh yes, that is perfect. Okay, so all I need for that now is I've already got this one assembled that on another video, and I've got my little paintbrush end here. So I think what I'm going to do on it is I am going to add some of that, I'm going to add some glitter to the tip, I think. I think what I'm going to do is I am going to put some double-sided adhesive on the tip there, and then I'm going to trim the edges and dunk it in some of the glitter. And I think that'll work right about there. Burnish that down. Lift off the release paper. And I think I'm going to go with purple, because I don't really have as much purple on the card. Let's go ahead and glue my brush down. Would help if I put enough glue on here to put my bristles down. And I probably should have colored the rest of the brush, but you know what? I think this is still going to work out fine. On second thought, I do need a little bit of ink there. Okay, that I think is going to be fine. Now I just need to pull it back up off of my desk because it's got glue on it. I'm going to say that this is good enough. So let me go ahead and adhere it down to my card. And then just trim off the excess. And now I'm going to add that to the front of the card base. And I am loving it. Now, this is one of the few times where I'm not going to add extra bling to the front of my card, but this, I think, turned out absolutely wonderful. It did do pretty much the idea that I had in mind, which I usually change my mind so many times during a card that it doesn't always work out. Well, be sure to check out the rest of the videos in this hub because I know there's going to be a lot more inspirational projects for you to see. Here is another video where I'm using some other Spellbinders products because I absolutely love Spellbinders products. And you guys have a wonderful day. Remember, if I can make it, you can too. Talk to you later.